and I'm Paulette Blossig. I'm the face that most people are seeing in the garden this summer. I'm actually a member of St. Paul's Catholic Church, but I'm a master gardener, and Dale and I were, Anderson and I were master gardeners together, and he invited me to help him with this project. So Dale, Sheila Anderson, and I are the founders of Trinity Community Gardens Incorporated, a nonprofit. And so I've been out here in the backyard for almost, 14, almost 15 years? So,
Of course, you know, I'm Sheila. Yes, I did move away, but I'm here right now because of Ed and Adele. But wanted to be in on this to say, hey, we really appreciate everybody's support over all the years.
Okay, questions for you guys are that when this pandemic happened, it was such a rapid thing. What were your concerns when they said, we're gonna quit everything?
planting the garden, we just went ahead according to plans because we already had our tomatoes and pepper plants in the greenhouse. They were already going. We knew what we were going to plant in every box. We had that already figured out months ahead, and so the garden is just going according to plan.
You never felt short-manned for...
A time or two. But one advantage of gardening in the same place for 15 years and having the wood chips and all of the lawn around the edge, there's no weed patches in the neighborhood. So we really don't have as much problem with weeding now as we did the first 3 to 5 years when we were weeding a lot. So that makes it a lot easier and more doable for just 2 or 3 people.
Okay, in the last 5 months, what went better than you expected? And can you give us a reason why you think it did go better?
As far as I'm concerned, the better thing is that there's a contractor with a porta potty out there in the parking lot. That's the better for me.
Well, and the logic behind that is the church has been locked. So
Yes.
you haven't had access,
Right.
while Bob's here, to the restrooms that you've been using for 15 years.
Yes.
What was the most surprise to you about the garden, that how they handled the pandemic, or was there a surprise?
Vegetables do their own thing. God makes it happen when it happens, and you just got to take care of it.
How do you feel about the health of Trinity Gardens? I know they're green and the plants are doing wonderful, but the ongoing future of Trinity Gardens.
Well, I had a meeting with Pastor Megan and the council a few weeks ago about the shade tree starting to really make an impact. Like those huge green tomatoes you saw out there in the garden, normally those we would have been picking a lot of ripe big lunker tomatoes by the 5th of August usually. And the Trinity variety tomatoes, I've only taken 3 tomatoes out of that row. They're huge, but they're not along as quickly because of the shade being on the garden all morning. So we've already discussed that, and I think the church is going to plant a replacement tree a little farther out. I'll put up with the shade, I'll adjust what crops I grow for the next 3 years, and then in 3 years from now, we'll get the big tree will come down. So next year, I'm probably not going to plant any squashes. I'll plant more cucumbers. The beans did fine. The carrots, beets, and onions did fine, so I'll plant more of those crops, and no melons or squashes the next few years. So we'll use all of the boxes, we'll just adjust what we grow. I would like to thank some of the parishioners are making donations now that Megan has kind of put out the word that this fall, some of these boxes that are close to 15 years old are starting to come apart at the corners. They need to be rebuilt. So I think we're going to be rebuilding about 1/3 of the boxes this fall.